Up. Good topic of discussion. It's something we've really kind of glanced over his career in the past couple seasons. But for Chris Paul, last season with the Oklahoma City Thunder, a lot of people did say he was in the conversation for the MVP, or he should have been, while I was focused more on Giannis, LeBron, and yada yada and all that. This season, kind of the same thing that's been kind of creeping back up on Chris Paul. The MVP race is wide open within this season. Joel Embiid's been hurt. LeBron's been hurt. Now Harden's been kind of hurt. Embiid went back. Jokic and the Nuggets have gone up in the standings. Dame Dollar and them are kind of in that picture. You have everything all up in the mix as of right now. The MVP race is open, and not saying he would be the MVP, but in consideration for a conversation would have to be for Mr. Chris Paul of the Phoenix Suns. Now, what kind of baffled me, there was an interview after their win, and they interviewed Devin Booker about being the MVP, which if I'm going to have to put an impact player for MVP, would have to be for Chris Paul over Denver Booker, at least in my books as for right now. But who knows about that? Who knows? The Phoenix Suns, as of right now, are sitting at the second seed in the Western Conference. And remember, the last couple of seasons with the Phoenix Suns, they were a poverty franchise. I mean, we're looking within the Phoenix Suns. They had a 24-58 record in 2017. 2018, the next following season, 21-61. 19-63. Last season, 34-39. They won 8 straight in the bubble, but barely missed the playoffs. And now bringing in Chris Paul and now a veteran-type basis team alongside, they're sitting at a 36-15 record as of right now, winning 70% of their ball games, which is crazy as can be. The Suns are at a second seed, 2.5 games behind the Utah Jazz, and after defeating the Jazz in such a big matchup. And this is something not to bat your eye on. I do believe that Chris Paul and Donovan Mitchell are very underrated and being kind of blackballed a little bit. They should be in the conversation, those two. They should. Should they be the front runners? Most likely not. But, let's jump into here. We'll cover more on that.
Well, listen, the West is ridiculous. And I tell you what, shout out to those Denver Nuggets going out getting Aaron Gordon. They are flat out balling right now.
Yep.
The Nuggets, I believe they have a 7-0 record. Aaron Gordon's feeling very nicely, replacing Paul Millsap as a starting four, doing what he has to do, both offensively, defensively, rebounds, and just being that fourth option out there, doing the dirty work as well. Very underrated trade. I was shocked the Magic were able to let him go for that price, just for Aaron Gordon. Huge deal for the Nuggets. I fully expected the Suns and the Celtics to be in consideration of going for Aaron Gordon, but I was shocked that they didn't pursue him like that. So Nuggets, big steal.
Great strides going to get him. And I watched that game last night between the Jazz and the Suns. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this for the last time. Listen, early in the season, LeBron was MVP and Joel Embiid. Then James Harden was the MVP. You guys got to start giving my guy Chris Paul love for MVP, man. Y'all got to give my guy love for MVP.
He was fantastic last night.
He's been fantastic all season.
Puts guys in the right places.
No, I mean, Chris Paul is...
Who's this cat? No, but for real, no. With Chris Paul, he should be within the top 5, top 6 in that range. And I'm telling you, the MVP race is open. I mean, we're not going to get a consistent, of course, we're not going to get a unanimous MVP, but it's going to come down to the person who wins. It's probably going to be around 60% of votes, while the other 40, or it's going to be wrapped up, man. It's going to be very close within this MVP, especially how things are trending with LeBron coming back, Embiid's coming back, Harden will be coming back pretty soon. But him with the Phoenix Suns within this season, I mean, he's giving you 16 points, he's giving you 9 assists. And just the impact in the culture. I mean, they missed the playoffs. They were a poverty franchise the last 5 seasons. Devin Booker has not even sniffed the playoffs. Now, they were getting pretty close last season due to the bubble and them going on a roll, but they needed Chris Paul to push him to that next level. And on my end, I fully expected the Suns to finish around a 6 through an 8 seed, during the preseason. That's what I predicted. A lot of people were saying they could be a 4th seed in that range. I knew that could potentially happen, but I would have been very impressed. Now they're at a 2nd seed in the Western Conference, 2.5 games away from the 1st seed. I mean, if the Phoenix Suns take on that 1st seed and Chris Paul is doing his thing, And LeBron is continuing to be hurt. Maybe Embiid is kind of hurt a little more. Or if the Sixers fall in the standings. You have a super team with Brooklyn, so Harden's probably going to get disqualified. And let's just say that Jokic with the Nuggets, they're at a 6th seed or something like that. Man, and the Suns take that 1st seed, man, you have a great case for Chris Paul, man. I'm telling you guys, it's a very close one. We're not going to get a clear, conscious decision. Now, when the season's over, I'll make my full analysis and breakdown, but it's crazy. Right now, I do have Embiid as the number 1. At 2, I do have James Harden, but he will be out for the next couple of 10 days, so that's potentially could drop down real quick. And at 3, I do have Nikola Jokic, who's sitting at a 4th seed in the Western Conference with the Denver Nuggets, who are only 1 game behind the Clippers with the 3rd seed, and they're only 3 games behind the Suns in the 2nd seed. So I think Nikola Jokic has the best outing for a trend. Joel Embiid in the Eastern Conference with the 76ers, they're at a 2nd seed, half game from the number 1 seed Nets. It's going to be a close one, man. It's going to be close.
Had an incredible season. He should be an All-NBA performer.
Yeah.
No, he is an All-NBA.
Yeah, this year he'll be an All-NBA.
So Kenny,
performer.
if you since we don't have, who would you vote for MVP right now?
I would.
As of right now, if the NBA stopped, easily would have to do Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Say right now it's between the Joker and James Harden.
No, sir. No. Joel Embiid's been consistent all season. He's been out for 2 weeks, and that was that. Ever since Joel Embiid got hurt for 2 weeks, everyone just dismissed him from their top 5 MVP. Like he didn't do anything this whole season. Joel Embiid only lost 2 weeks or so of NBA basketball, and he dominated against the Boston Celtics. Joel Embiid is the player of the year as of right now. James Harden came into his MVP stance around a third to the middle of the season in that range. The first beginning of the season was not ideal with the Rockets and the whole shabam and him deferring as much. So, no, James Harden's not number 1. The Joker, the Nuggets have always been around out of the playoffs, an 8 seed to a 6 seed, now a 4 seed. They're not high enough in the standings. The Joker does have the individual performances, but so does Embiid. But Embiid does have the standings. I do not want to hear the Joker as number 1. No.
Well, James not playing.
But James only missed like 1 to 2 games right now.
You're both wrong. Chris Paul got the.
I'm not saying Chris Paul is an All-NBA performer right now.
Jokic and Joel Embiid. Stop it.
Joel Embiid has not played enough games. That's for me.
Joel Embiid only missed 2 to 3 weeks of basketball. He's fine. I don't want to hear that.
Embiid been out the last 3 weeks, dude. You've been watching.
That's just not enough. He was playing at an MVP.
Yes, I said that he was playing.
If he would have stayed in
first, hold on. I'm just going off what y'all are based by. They're still in first place, right? So
but I would say this, Shaq. Winning.
Aren't you going by record?
No, but Brooklyn.
Yes, we count that too.
Yeah,
okay, so they're in first place.
Brooklyn, they're half game behind.
Tied for first.
And the Suns are in 2nd place and coming in the West. And that was a big win over Utah last night.
What made you the MVP, what makes players the MVP.
Yeah, but I missed some games that
they're
year.
playing. No,
I
not
missed some
weeks.
games that year. Yes,
not games.
Yes, I did.
Weeks.
Underdog, look it up.
Okay, not weeks. You didn't miss weeks.
All right. Ended up there. Joel Embiid is number 1 on my MVP rankings as of right now. Listen, I get your perspective for Jokic, but a lot of people are just in their feelings when it comes to him. He does have the individual performances, but the Nuggets, throughout the whole season, have been underperforming heavily. They were out of the playoffs for the first month or so. They started creeping into the 8 seed, and them and the Mavericks were always struggling in the beginning. Down the Nuggets have pushed themselves from an 8 seed to around a 6. Now they're sitting at around a 4th seed. But the Philadelphia 76ers with Joel Embiid have always been consistent in that top 3 seed. Now they're pretty much sitting the first or second, and Embiid's been having these dominant performances night in, night out. Now he has missed around 2 to 3 weeks, but listen, at the end of the day, that's not gonna harm you too much. It shouldn't, because who are you gonna put over Embiid? Harden? Nah. Jokic? No. That's not the case. Those are my top 3 as of right now. LeBron's pretty much gonna be disqualified for the MVP race. He's been out too much. And the Lakers are not going to have the record as it is. The Phoenix Suns and the Jazz do have good momentum. The media is not covering Chris Paul or Donovan Mitchell as much. And Donovan Mitchell should be top 5 in MVP. I mean, he's having great night-out performances. Most people had the Jazz as 6th seed or below this season. They've been a first seed, number 1 record in the whole Western Conference, let alone the whole NBA. And he's the number 1 guy on their team. So You got to throw some love over there. Again, it's a media narrative, but Joel Embiid should be the front runner for MVP as of right now. Do I expect Chris Paul to potentially win the award? Most likely not. No. But you should put him in considerations. End it off there.